Daria, welcome to my channel, and today I have my 10th update for Pen Z palette, and it's a very exciting one. This project was originally created by Amber F, and I will link her down below. But right now I'm working on two palettes in this project. I'm working on Urban Decay Naked, and it's an original Naked, which means that I bought it before it was discontinued and brought back. So it's quite an old palette for me. I think I bought it in 2018. Yeah, I think it was in 2018. But I've been working on this palette since the beginning of the year. And now you can see what this palette was looking like in January. As you can see, it had some dips, but I didn't have any pens in it, but it wasn't unused by any means. And now you can see the slides, the close-ups of this palette, of what it was looking like during this whole year. I will film a video about this palette because, well, if you watched my last update, it wouldn't be a spoiler, but I finished this palette. For the past months, I've been working only on 3 remaining shades, and throughout the year, I was just concentrating on different shades and finishing them. So I hope that now you will be able to see what this palette was looking like in my last update, and I've just had a little bit of creep left in this palette, and now that's what it's looking like today. So I've managed to finish the remaining bits of creep of this black shade, and now this palette is completely empty. So that's what the palette is looking like. I'm very happy with it. I couldn't even imagine in the beginning of the year that I would finish this palette, to be honest. But I have left only a little bit of creep, and it took me additional 4 uses to finish it completely in October, and I've used it for a total of 215 tracked uses. And I started tracking my uses on my whole makeup collection in the end of 2024. But I've been using this palette quite consistently since I bought it, so since 2018. So I have more uses on creep than 215, but I've tracked only this amount of uses. But basically this palette is done. I'm very happy about it. I didn't think that I could do it in a year, but the formula was very crumbly, the palette was quite old, the pigmentation wasn't as good as it used to be, so I had to use quite a lot of products to create looks that I liked with this palette. But it's done. It's done, and it goes in my empty bin. I'm very happy about it. As I said, I think I will film a video with this palette where I will go over each shade, how many times it took me to finish each shade, how many times it took me to hit pen on each shade. So I will talk about statistics of this palette in a separate video, just because it will be quite a long one. And I have one more palette to talk about in my Pen Z palette update. I thought that I would film a video like this as soon as I finish this palette, but I kind of have a lot going on right now, so I think this video will come in the end of November or in December. I'm not quite sure yet, but stay tuned if you want to see all of the statistics of this palette. But I'm very happy that it's done, and I'm so proud of myself, to be honest. I'm very proud. I've managed to finish a 12 pen palette in a year. Well, of course, not in a year because it wasn't new when I rolled it into this project, but I've started heavily focusing on it in the beginning of 2025. The second palette that I've been working on in this project is Venus Success from Lime Crime in the shade Rose Gold. And I have a photo of it, of what it looked like in the beginning of January. And it was one of my favorite palettes in my whole collection. I've used it quite a bit, but I think in the beginning of January I haven't had any pens in it. And now you will be able to see what this palette was looking like when I rolled it into this project, and I believe that it was in September. So I've had two pens in this palette when I rolled it in. They were in the two bottom shades, in Charm and Eternal. And by my October update, I've managed to hit two more pens in Angelic and Divinity, but also I've expanded pens in Charm and Eternal quite a bit. And that's what the palette is looking like right now. And as you can see, we have the first finished shade. So that's the palette right now, and I've managed to finish the shade Charm. It was my favorite shade in this palette, so it wasn't a chore to finish. I really liked it, and I've been using it all over my lids. So every time I've used it, I used quite a bit of this shade. But this palette is quite old as well. I've bought it in 2019. If I remember it correctly, so the formula is quite crumbly as well. And I think that's why I go through this palette quite quickly. So let's go through my uses of each of these shades. So I've used Angelic 10 times for a total of 20 uses in this project. I've used the shade Divinity 31 times for a total of 61 uses in this project. I use this shade every day as my brow bone highlight, and sometimes I use it in my inner third of the lid. And the shade Angelic I use as a crease shade, or as a lower lash line shade, or as a base shade, so I use it all over my lid, and then I put on top of it some shimmers. So the Charm I've used an additional 4 times this month for a total of 14 uses in this project. And I have 36 tracked uses on this shadow in order for me to finish it, but I know that I've used it a lot throughout the years because it was my favorite shade, maybe even in my whole collection. I really loved this palette, I really loved pinks, and I really loved this shade Charm, and I'm kind of missed it already, even so now I have a lot of palettes, but yeah, it was the shades that I used the most in this palette. And the last shade, Eternal, I used an additional 11 times this month for a total of 21 uses in this project. And I use Eternal in my outer corner or on my lower lash line. So I have quite a good progress on this palette, but I'm not sure that I will be able to finish 2 matte shades before the end of the year, to be honest. I hope the angle is okay, but my cat just decided to knock down everything, my tripod, my lights, so I just hope the angle is okay, but if it's changed, that's why. But basically I was saying that I'm not really sure that I will be able to finish these 2 matte shades by the end of the year. I think that I will be able to finish this shade Divinity by the next update. yeah, I think I can do it, and then we will be left only with 2 matte shades in this palette. Once again, I'm not so sure that I will be able to finish them by the end of the year, but if I have to, I will use them almost every day. And also, I suspect that I could use this shade Angelic as a blush. I'm not really sure that I will do it by my next update. Maybe I will try it just to see if it's possible, but I think I will need to see the progress on these 2 matte shades in the beginning of December in order for me to understand how I need to use them. But I will try my best to incorporate them into more looks, because my soft goals this year has been to use each of my focus shades 10 times per month, and of course all of the remaining 3 shades in this palette are my focus shades for now. So I'm sure that I will be able to finish this shimmer shade even by the next update, but I'm not so sure about these 2 mattes. But I still have 2 months left in the year, and yeah, we will just see how it goes. I really want to finish them by the end of the year, just to have one more empty palette, but if I'm not able to do it, then I will do it in the beginning of next year. But I really hope that I can finish them by the end of December. But that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and I hope you will stay with me on my project painting journey. Thank you again so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!